as the Earth turns on its axis away from the bright, warm center of our solar system towards the vastness of space. We reach a point called the Midnight Nexus. It is where transmissions from the dark void of our universe are most easily intercepted. These transmissions seem to be coming from different worlds, alternate realities, and even the past and the future. Dark secrets and otherworldly tales have been pieced together and are presented to you here. Welcome to the Midnight Nexus.
Avid Reader by Bobb Yates. Jeff always liked Gus, but there was no denying the fact that he was strange. Gus was astoundingly smart and very soft-spoken, but he walked with a slight limp. He had been born with one leg longer than the other, and even though he wore glasses, his eyes tended to drift apart. Jeff always tried to take his break at the same time as Gus, because the rest of the guys in the warehouse usually wouldn't tease him as much if he did. But when they were separated, by scheduling or short staffing, Jeff would be forced to watch as Gus spent the back half of his break feeding the birds outside with seed he always carried in his pockets. And then when he came in to eat, the others would descend upon him like a pack of wild dogs. They called him vicious names, not only because he was deformed and cripplingly shy, but because of his book. For the last 5 years, Jeff worked with Gus. Gus always carried a huge green book everywhere he went. The binding and the cover were frayed and falling apart. The pages yellowed and uneven, but Gus didn't even go to the bathroom without it. If anyone ever came near to that book, Gus's face would change into a mask of pure hatred that Jeff could only describe as murderous. One time at break, Jeff asked what the book was about and extended his hand to touch it. Gus snatched his wrist off the table with lightning speed and held it in a grip that felt like it could break bone. "This book," he said calmly, but with a sinister shake in his voice, "is my way out. My escape. The answer to everything. Please, Jeff, do not touch it." Unfortunately, Gus's protectiveness of the book, and the fact that he had apparently been reading the same one for years, proved to be an easy target for bullies. "You still reading that same book?" they cried. "How slow do you read?" "I don't even think he can read. I bet he reads about as fast as he walks." Jeff came into the cramped break room just as they descended on him. He saw Gus with his head in his hands, taking the abuse without saying a word as usual. And then, one of them dared to pick up the book and slammed it onto the table. "Are you even awake?" the leader of the pack bellowed. Jeff opened his mouth to speak, to maybe call them off. He wasn't fast enough to stop the carnage that followed. Gus moved faster than any of them had ever seen him move before. He flipped open the cover of the book. Where intact pages should have been, there was a deep, gun-shaped hole. As Gus pulled a handgun out from the book's innards, he pointed it at them. He smiled for the first time in years.
If you enjoyed The Avid Reader by Bobb Yates, check out Mr. Yates at Wattpad app. at any local app retailer. Bob Yates' other stories include Friends Like These, Crazy Sadie, and the Bloomhouse Grand Prize winning story, The Visitor. Coming soon, Bob Yates dives into storytelling once again for his new novel, The Corner of Hope and Fear. 3 terrifying stories should be available within the year in a brick-and-mortar store near you.
The story you just listened to was The Avid Reader, written by Bob Yates and read aloud by Randall W. Woten. The episode was produced by Zombie Takeover TV and the Midnight Nexus, created by Jacob Thornburg.